Hey everyone, welcome back. We are going to have another ASOTU Edge webinar today. Today we're joined by our friends at Upstart. We're going to be talking about transforming car buying, the power of connected auto retailing. So joining us today are going to be our hosts, Paul J. Daly and Kyle Mountsier, who you probably know if you're here. But we're also going to be joined by Karen Byrd. She is the GM at Colonial, Volkswagen, and Subaru, as well as Aksana Campbell. She's a dealer success manager with Upstart, and you're in for a lot of fun. So you definitely chose to be in the right place today. I'm going to kick it on over to our hosts, and thanks again for being here.
Hey, thanks, AMJ.
Hey, thank you. Let's go, Paul. We got another one.
No, so we always talk about these webinars like, look, they're fun, they're fast paced. And before we start these, right, we always go backstage green room. We hang out with the guests for a little bit. And like, I just texted you. I was like, this is a fun group.
This is
like, I know we say that a lot, but we really mean it. You know, when you're making fun of each other, like when you first meet, like, you know, you're going to be just fine.
You're going to be just fine. Yeah. And I love the topic of conversation today because I feel like everybody in the industry is always saying we need a better experience. Right.
Yeah.
And then
like everybody
after
all
that,
the
it's
time.
like treat guests better.
Let's go get steak. Right?
What does that mean? What in the world does getting a better experience look like? And I think that's the answer that we have in one way that might be right for a good large swath of people in auto, because the game is changing on what online versus offline looks like. Because it used to be verse in the middle.
Very clear. It used to be very clear. And, you know, you and I have an opportunity to travel around and do some work with a lot of dealer groups, large and small, around the country. And this is a challenge that everyone is trying to solve in one way or another.
Yep.
And frankly, the bigger your store, the bigger your group, the more challenging it becomes. And so the technology tools that actually help you pull it all together are such a critical component of making a cultural shift to having everything seamless, because you do need both. And I think that's something that anyone who's tried to like deploy a piece of technology to fix it all, they realize really quickly a piece of technology just doesn't fix it all. But you need the piece of technology or you'll never fix it all.
Right. People, process, technology, in that order, but all necessary. And I think that's the key to making sure that we manage the customer and the sales experience really, really well. Well, so our two guests today are dialed in on that. We have Karen Byrd, and she is the general manager at Colonial VW Subaru. And then Aksana is joining us from Upstart, and they have a very unique partnership that you can tell just on screen, even that they rely on each other to make sure that they are understanding this matrix of people, process, technology, and how it all integrates to serve the customer.
All right, well, let's bring them into the show. Karen, Aksana, why don't we, Nathan, bring.
Today's car buyers demand a modern customer experience. Connect with Upstart Auto Retail to deliver the experience they deserve.
Voila, 4
They're
people.
there. Wow. That's so cool.
Well, there you are. I wonder where you went. There you are.
See, what did I tell you? What did I tell you? Karen, Aksana, welcome to the webinar. We're so excited to go through the content with you. Let's just start out. Karen, I think every dealer, when they listen to other dealers, it's always helpful to get some context as far as a little bit of what you've done in the industry, like how you've gotten to the point you're at, and then maybe a little bit of an idea of your store or your group and the size and scope.
Fantastic. So thank you for asking, Paul. So I've been in the industry for 27 years to be exact, just a couple months ago. I started when I was like 2 years old. So, you were wondering.
How does she do it?
Right. I love this business. This business is all I know. I say to people, it's my only claim to fame. You know, and I'm very grateful to have been here at Colonial for the past 16 and a half years with the ownership team that we have, the executive management team, and, you know, the entire team in general. It's been a great journey for me, great experience. They've all, you know, helped me to grow. as a general manager into my role. Yeah.
So tell us about the group.
Yeah. Tell us about the group and the store, the size, the kind of scope of what, service and sales looks like for you.
Got it. So we're a very small, I would say, dealership. We're a dual point Volkswagen and Subaru, maybe one of the very few dual points, left in the country.
Mm-hmm.
We've been in business now for over 50 years. The family has been in business for over 50 years. We probably, I would say, on average, we probably sell about 130 cars a month, with all brands and used cars. We have a very large, service-based business as well, service and parts. It's a very unique, organization culture, very family oriented. It's just a great place to be. I've been here almost 17 years. So, and a lot of people have been here for a long time too. So it's good.
She says it's small, but then we sell 130 cars a month.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not a lot of cars.
She's got dreams, Oksana. She's got dreams.
And yeah, she's like, we're ready to go. We're ready to go. Oksana, tell us a little bit about your role at Upstart and how long you've been there, and then how you got connected into the account relationship with Colonial.
Okay, so I am a dealer success manager at Upstart. So I'm her account manager. I oversee the dealerships on the platform. This is actually my second digital retail tool I've worked for. And then I worked in automotive in dealerships about 5 years prior to that. Karen is actually a little tidbit. She's not supposed to be in my region. So I live in Michigan, and there was somebody where, her account just needed me to take care of it for a little while. And the second I met her, I have said, nope, she's mine. I'm not giving her
that. Dibs.
Midwest region. Yeah, I was like, she's all mine. Nobody can take her. We hired somebody else in that region, and I was like, sorry, but she's all mine. So
that's amazing.
I'm giving her back. So.
All right. So bringing this together, obviously, Karen is on the platform, and she's very, very she's a champion of the platform for a reason, right? And that reason is because something's working. So maybe it makes sense for Karen. Tell us a little bit about why you've deployed Upstart, how you're using, why you strategically are using the platform in your sales process. What's it doing for you?
So to start with, the pandemic, created a new way for us to do business, obviously, by meeting customers where they want to be met, whether it's remote, or in store. And also, it was a period where we wanted to minimize the touch points, right? So remember the days where we had to be 6 feet apart, we had no contact, with each other. So I think it just created this whole new environment. And I'm, even though, things did go back, some things did go back to the, we removed the 6 feet apart, stuff. I mean, still people, they just want to the customers they still want us to meet them where they want to be met, not the old way of just doing things. And not only that, I mean, I noticed that even after all of that happened, there was a shift taking place. There really was a shift taking place. So the conversation began with some research, trying to find out from, my other colleagues, and basically some of our vendors, Shift Digital, the consultants that were coming in, what's really happening in the entire landscape now today. We're going through, the inventory limitations, because of all the supply constraints that we were facing. The lead count was down. Obviously, there's no inventory on the website. Nobody's calling, phone's not ringing. They're not coming in because you have nothing. So that's where the conversation really started. And I was very fortunate it was actually good timing. Let me say it was really good timing because my Shift Digital rep at the time said, it's funny that you should ask that question because that really is the conversation right now. And he said, I do have a dealer that's been doing this, this, because my question was a one-touch sales process. I didn't know that there was such a thing as a single point.
Mhm.
this
Yep.
system going on. So in any event, so he said, if you're interested, I would love to be able to, introduce you to this dealer and, schedule a time when maybe you can meet if they're willing to do it. And then we can go from there. So that's what started the conversation.
That's awesome. So what did it look like to, once you decided that Upstart and this target of getting a one-touch sales process or single point of contact process some point in the future, what does it take in getting everyone to adopt the same mentality at the store? Because that's not an easy kind of move to go, we're gonna break down our process to the bottom and then rebuild it with technology surrounding it.
Correct. What I have to say is that I was very grateful that, one, I had the opportunity to visit a neighboring dealer who was already, on this process since 2018. I didn't even know there was a thing in 2018, but it was. And they were so gracious and kind to allow me to come in. I spent time with the dealership, with the dealer principal, with his operations manager. They gave me a tour of their dealership. They actually had me, first see the entire process and the operation, how everything worked. I had a lot of questions, obviously, because yes, you're right. How do I, convince my team, that, maybe this is what we should be considering, because, change to a lot of people is very scary. It's a very scary
For
thing.
sure.
Very, very scary. So, like I said, having the experience of going there, seeing the operation, it just gave me more comfort to be able to come back and have a discussion with my team.
And you probably had a lot of vendors, right? Like everyone has their vendor that they migrate to. And so like when you put a platform like this in place, obviously it is a simplification of the vendor roster. So what was that process like? Like what situation were you in before you decided to go with a more streamlined platform?
Well, we were with another digital company because thankfully, when the pandemic happened, we were actually a beta store for them. But, at that time, which was about a year ago, I don't think that they had evolved to the in-store piece that we were missing. And the dealership that I had the opportunity to visit, they were already using Upstart. So I was inspired. I mean, I was really inspired by the seamless, experience, not just from the customer standpoint, because I had an opportunity to try it on their website myself or online, and then to see what happened in store and how they were really engaging with it. I mean, I was sold.
Aksana, that's one thing that I think is a new conversation topic, that during the pandemic, it was all about how do we do digital retailing? How do we make sure customers can like do something online? But the reality is that we found that 97% of transactions actually happen in store. What does Upstart enable that maybe is different than just like this theory of digital retailing, and how far does it go into the overall retailing process?
You're totally right that everyone was like rushing to get something where everyone can do everything online. And then we all figured out, oh, actually, they still want to come in store ultimately to
Surprise!
sign. Yeah. Oh, goodness. They still want that. But what we do is we enable and offer the customer with the experience to be able to do everything online up until that point. So they can do everything from getting a trade-in value, creating their own payments, submitting their credit application, even with Upstart, getting the Upstart approval through us and everything like that. So then once they get to the end, they schedule the appointment, they can come in and all they need to do is just sign and drive. So I think the way that we're different is that we offer them the option to do anything, like whether it's only one step of the process or the full process. And then with that in-store solution, it's really, really a seamless process for the sales managers and sales reps to pick up exactly where they left off and continue from there. Because that's annoying. If you started online and
it's the most frustrating thing.
Yeah,
I hate that even on a phone conversation with like customer service.
Yeah,
where like they'll ask you to verify your account, And then the next person that gets on the phone is asking you questions about the same stuff. It's just like, no, there is a better way. I know it. Even the simple stuff.
I tell all my dealers, I compare it to going to the doctor's office. I say, how many nurses do you have to tell them your problem? And then when the doctor comes in, you have to explain it all
over again. Right. No, that's a great illustration.
Right. That was the major pain point that we were looking to solve initially which prompted the initial conversation. Because we want to be able to mirror the customer's experience online and have that translate in store the same. And with the use of the iPad for the sales staff, it also made it even more seamless for them, because like Aksana touched on earlier, everything, from vehicle selections, specs, inventory selection, whatever it is that they need, everything is in the same place. And it also helps them to spend more time with the customer as well, because that was another issue that we heard customers were complaining about. The salesperson is not attentive,
That's
so
right.
the iPad really was instrumental in bringing this all together. Yeah.
So it's obvious that you found a fit for the direction that you're heading, right? It solves some problems now. You have single point of contact in your sites, right? Moving toward that. However, I think a lot of dealers want to hear like what actually changed. What are the results that you got from switching to a certain process that they might be considering, or a piece of technology that they might be considering? There was a case study that was done, right? Can you tell us about some of the impacts that it had, like on sales, leads, and things like that?
So since we've implemented Upstart and the whole process online and in store, we've noticed an increase in our impact sales. And I didn't even know there was a thing as impact sales.
I was going to say, explain impact sales for those of us in the room that might not be fully familiar with.
So this is my understanding. The impact sales relates to the number of reported sold sales to leads. So any customer that's coming to us by way of online or in store through this whole process that we're using, we are actually capturing about 70%, which when we compared the numbers, because I even had Aksana dial in, I said, there's an anomaly going on here. This can't be right. But we're closing about 70% of those deals, because everyone that comes in the store, that is our process. Everything is digital. Everything has to go through the iPad 100%. I mean, there used to be those days when, we were like, oh yeah, I bet, people get on the lot and they're not getting logged in. Well, guess what? Your working numbers, they're getting logged in. You don't have a driver's license scanned in, you're not getting numbers.
And so what it actually did was, it sounds like it inserted a lot of accountability into your sales process that is hard to police otherwise.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that most managers can say like that is one of the most challenging parts of the position, is just getting their team to do all the steps in order. And it sounds like this implementation forces you to like, this is how we do it. And so it's just like a silent accountability partner.
And you asked the question earlier, how were we able to, encourage the team as a whole, right, to adopt this new process. And one of the things that I learned is the GROW method. I don't know if you've ever heard about it, but obviously, what is our goal, right? And we discuss what that goal is, why we're doing what we're doing, why, and what is our reality? What are we experiencing right now? What is not working? And then how are we going to move forward, right? What are the options? And so we have a discussion with the entire team, and we talk about it. So no one was ever left out. So we did it collectively.
They were brought in. It wasn't like, guess what, everybody, we're doing a new thing because I feel like it. It was, come on along in this process. Let's discover what we're doing.
And then we created, some action items that we, set a timeline. We held each other accountable. We supported each other through it. Even when some people were trying to still resist it, I'm here to support you. And then with the help of Upstart and the support that they provided for us, I mean, it made the transition so much smoother.
What's the W? You said goal, reward, options.
So goal the goal, what
Yep.
we're looking to accomplish and why,
Yep.
the reality where we're at,
Reality. Yep.
it's not working. And the options is where we have everybody come up with options. How can we do a better job? How
Oh,
can we
it's
do it better?
G-O then.
Grow, GROW.
Oh,
The
And then
W is the way forward. The way
Got
forward are agreed upon action items with a timeline that we're going to hold each other accountable.
love that.
And yes, and then we're going to support each other, make adjustments if needed. We're going to make the process work collectively.
I think that's where Karen differs from most dealerships and sees the most success with any tool, honestly, is the fact that she got her sales team to be bought in. She cares about
Absolutely.
their opinion. She even asked them, she did some one-on-ones with them to check in and say, like, how are you feeling about Upstart? And she got all their honest feedback to know whether they're happy or not. And it goes from top down and down up. Like, nobody pays attention to that, but you have to have the buy-in on both ends of the spectrum. So that's what she's done.
So the technology provider is saying it can't just be the technology.
Yeah, it doesn't run itself.
that's really great.
Yes.
So what's the path to getting to this single point of contact? Because I think there are a lot of dealers that are saying, like, how have you chunked away at that? Because a lot of dealers, I think, have some fear around changing what may have been the history. And how do you how have you gone about, like, the simple steps to get there while bringing along the technology along the way?
Very good question, Kyle. I don't know if there's a one way to say, okay, this is the way, maybe it has to be for it to happen. For the dealers that is considering it and maybe just want some ideas, I would say, if it works for you, maybe a step-by-step implementation. Choose a great provider like Upstart. They're there every step of the way. When there's hurdles, there's bumps in the road, they're there. I mean, there's never been a time that we needed something. Their support staff is amazing, 24/7. They've always been there, which I feel that without that, we would have never been able to accomplish what we are accomplishing today. We've just also started the financing online. So now you can complete car buying, financing 100% in the state of PA here at Colonial, which is giving the customer the access to be able to do the deal from start to finish the way they want to. And I would say there's nothing to fear. It really isn't nothing to fear. When the customer is satisfied and the customer is happy, I think at the end of the day, that's what matters the most.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Really.
absolutely.
Yeah. And
Aksana.
when that happens too, we don't need the FTC to put in a bunch of regulations because we just took care of the customer.
We didn't even touch on it, but I believe someone said earlier about the feedback. So I did share some feedback from some of my team members and how they, how their experience, using the team. And one of the things that one of my managers talked about is the compliance part of it. So it's to be able to have everything done digitally, it eliminates the paperwork laying around the dealership or where it shouldn't
Big
be
conversation.
around. So you're absolutely right. That is a huge piece. And especially today, compliance is huge.
And it's only going to get more complicated, it seems.
Way more complicated. Aksana, one of the things that's big in the industry right now is the affordability conversation around payments and pricing and whether approvals can happen and how lending meets the matchmaker of the vehicle or the profitability of the store. How is Upstart enabling a better process when it comes to answering those concerns from the consumer?
So I think what we're doing is we're offering the customer and the dealership the first time for the customer to have one experience through one tool. Because customers don't want, as much as dealerships might think sometimes, they don't want 17 different CTAs that only do one thing in the process. So adding in that automotive lending side into it, like Karen mentioned, that we just went live with a few weeks ago, it really gives the option to be able to do everything A to Z through Upstart. And that's what dealerships are looking for. I mean, you have no idea how many times dealerships are saying, wait, can we replace our system with you guys? Like, can we get rid of 3 of them? Because there's just too many. So being able to offer them everything and just create an easier experience for both the customer and the sales team is the most important piece.
I think there's probably questions on like, what does a platform like this look like tangibly speaking? Like, what does it look like? I think we have a slide here that's a visual aid so that we can put it up on the screen. Can we throw that up, Nathan? So talk about this slide a little bit for a minute, Aksana.
Yeah, so the phone screen is going to be like the customer portion of it, the customer journey. It looks like that's where they're going to be able to look at, building their deal. And then the iPad portion of it is the in-store solution for the sales reps. So anything that the customer does on their phone or on their laptop, and then once they come in, the sales rep can pick up exactly where they left off. So it's no guessing. You don't have to start from scratch. I tell my dealerships, these are not fresh ups. Do not ask them their name.
Right.
Yeah, don't ask them what kind of car they're interested in. They already selected it. You're going to, allow them to back out and say like, I wasn't shopping.
That's so nice. Yes, that's so nice when you're greeted with a salesperson, associate, whatever you call them, and they have like a piece of knowledge already, right? They understand, they already have a little insight into what your preference is, and they let you know right out of the gate. Like, first of all, I'm going to call you by your name. Second of all, I'm going to say, I see you were interested in this really nice, Accord. Like, those are great cars. Are you still interested in that? And why? Right? It just allows you to just not go through all the awkwardness.
It just came out of detail. Are you ready to come in and test drive it right now? I have it ready for you, just
right. Or I actually have 3 just like it. You know what I mean? Or whatever it is. I did see something I want to point out on that slide. There were 2 letters on there, AI. And that's thrown around a lot, right? It says integrated AI powered financing.
Yes.
I have to ask, because I don't know the answer to this question. What does that mean? Like, is it really AI? What is it?
It is. I will start it by saying I'm not the expert in it. I am still learning that. But with Upstart, they started in the personal loan space about 12 years ago, and it is the founders came from Google, and so they are insanely smart. They know what they're talking about. They decided, like, credit doesn't determine whether somebody can pay back their loan or not. We need to look at more things about the customer than just a credit score. So they created this machine learning system that's going to be able to determine, I believe it looks at about like 1,200 different points about a customer to determine if they're eligible for a loan or not. So just because they might have a lower credit score doesn't mean that they can't pay it back. Just because it's higher doesn't mean that they will. So it's really a full spectrum lender. And it's really, I would say it's coming out and just being like a real big competitor in the
competitive, very competitive. Yes.
Yeah. What I know about that lending space is it's quite impressive and is enabling some really cool transactions. Well, hey, we've wrapped our time. I want to thank both of you for giving of your time, sharing the experience. It is a unique experience, and I know that people can find you all each online. If you are interested in finding out more, we will be sending a recap of this to every attendee with the case study. You can also go to upstart.com/dealers to find out more and connect with Upstart if you have questions. But thank you all for sharing about the unique way that you're solving for customer experience and caring about people more than cars. Like you said, Karen, it is all about people and the way you treat them. And thank you to you, if you're watching, for hanging out with us on this Edge webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much again for being here. I'm not sure if we mentioned this though, but there also will be a case study that you can download. That'll be on the registration page, and we'll also be attaching that to the recap email that we'll be sending out on Friday. So thanks to Karen, thanks to Aksana, and we'll see you guys next time.